Alright, this is Andrew Jolly with Joda Home Inspections. We're here today at 545 Malibu in Salt Lake City doing a sewer scope. We've got the camera pushed out about 130 feet. I'm seeing a lot of standing water. And so this indicates that you have improper slope of the city line, or of the sewer line. It's enough standing water that my camera head's going underneath it in some areas, but not all of it. And so you can see here I'm still able to inspect part of the line, but when my camera's underwater, I can't see everything. The issue with having standing water is that means that you have improper grade. The sewer line should slope all the way to the city connection on its own. You shouldn't have any flat spots like this where it holds water. Otherwise, debris can get stuck as it's flowing down the line, and that can create a backup. Like you can see right there, you should never have debris in your line, and there's toilet paper just sitting in your line right here. I got 130 feet out, which wasn't all the way to the city line. There's more toilet paper. I mean, so that's not a good sign when you have debris in the line like that. That looks like, I don't know what this is. This is a joint in the line, and so usually this is where I see roots. And so typically that's what I'm seeing growing through a joint, and then that can catch on debris just like it is on the screen. That's a piece of toilet paper caught on whatever that is, but it doesn't really look like a root to me. In either case, you want to have it cleaned out because that can continue to catch on things in the future, whether that's a root or not. As it catches on things, it can eventually create enough of a blockage that it starts to back up. Really the big concern here so far is the standing water. That's not something that you can fix without digging up, because if you wanted to have a line that drained properly and that was sloped correctly, it would have to be dug up, unfortunately. I would talk to the sellers about if they've ever had to have it cleaned out, if they've had any problems with it backing up in the past. I think I was dragging a piece of toilet paper for a minute. Not positive if I was actually underwater or just dragging debris. This is a clay line, and then it transitions to cast iron. There's different issues you can have with both. Clay has a lot of sections, and so there's more spots for roots to come in. And roots are just a maintenance item. Like the root you have or whatever that is coming through the line, that can be cleaned out, and that doesn't need to be dug up to be repaired. But the fact that this line is, I mean, basically flat, holding a lot of water, that's more of a concern. And so I would recommend consulting with a specialist and getting their opinion about how big of a deal it is and what the cost would be to have it repaired. I only got 130 feet out, and not all the way to the city line, so there is a part of the line that I'm not able to see, but really in either case it doesn't make a big difference, because if I'm underwater I wasn't seeing anything at that point anyway. But this line has two big turns, one here and then another one at the bottom of the roof stack, and when I go through a couple bends like that, it makes it harder to push the camera out all the way. An average sewer line's about 100 feet out, so this is a pretty long line. I did access it through the roof stack, so it's not uncommon for it to be 110 or so, but 130 and still not hitting the city line, that's a pretty long line. So we're back here on the roof. Just to recap, there's cast iron and clay. The cast iron is something that can rust over time. It gets very thin as it deteriorates, and so eventually cast iron needs to be replaced, just because of the material that it is. I would say the biggest concern here is the slope. I would recommend consulting with a specialist. In Salt Lake City, you might be able to qualify for the insurance here, which would be highly beneficial if you're able to get it here. I think it's through HomeServe. And if you are going to push it, I would recommend having it cleaned out right now in the meantime. That way you can get those roots taken care of, and then also the kind of sediment that starts to build up. As you have standing water, you'll get a lot more sludge, and that can really add to it catching on things. Having that cleaned out can give you some time before it starts backing up and having issues again. So I'm going to end this recording now.